Hey guys, BrettFX here. How are you doing? Hope you're feeling pretty good. I am a little excited here. This is gonna be my some of my views on the new Modern Warfare game. I'm not gonna be going into breakdowns of all the kill streaks or all the other kind of stuff. I'm gonna be looking at it from pretty much a disgruntled Battlefield player's perspective. What I think is exciting about Modern Warfare and what I think a lot of Battlefield players have been wanting from Battlefield might be able to find in Modern Warfare. So, just real quick, the gameplay back behind is from the stream. So if you guys want to check out the main like 4-hour stream, you can. I'm gonna have a link down to below. Highly recommend that you check it out because there's a lot of really good gameplay, and they do go into explaining a lot of the features and a lot of the really cool stuff that's going to be coming in, more so than what I'm going to. Like I said, I'm not trying to explain what the game is. I'm just going to talk to you about what I'm excited about it and what I think a lot of players in my position are going to be excited for. So first of all, I did play Call of Duty back in the day. Just a little bit of history lesson here. I played COD 3, COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, a little bit of World at War. Modern Warfare 2 really killed it for me. The kill streaks, the nukes, it was terrible, and I didn't like it. Hadn't liked the COD game since. It's been pretty much just I'll play the beta, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not me, and then I go back to Battlefield. Battlefield filled that niche for a very long time of having that infantry style gameplay, really solid gunplay, and not having to worry about the spammy, unnecessary, just cheesy kind of play elements. There are some in Battlefield, of course, but there were always ways to counter them for the most part, and with a little bit of teamwork, you could kind of overcome those things. Battlefield 1, didn't like the game. Battlefield 5, the game is fine, but so many bugs in it, plus so many features that are needed for the community aren't there. They really have me in a state where I'm just not into Battlefield. I'm going to be honest with you. And when I saw Modern Warfare, the reveal for the 2v2 game mode, I was like, cool, okay, gunplay looks pretty interesting. And then I was like, let's see how the big reveal is going to be. And then I find out that not only are we having a 10 versus 10 mode, which I believe is the most that they've had in that game, but they're also going to have a 20 versus 20 mode. 40 players. And they are making maps specifically for this player size. Then, on top of that, I find out, oh yeah, they're going to have a 100 player mode. Now, that may be their Battle Royale mode. It may be a 50 versus 50. I don't know. But the fact is that they are pushing some limits that we haven't seen coming out from Battlefield. And it's really exciting. It's really interesting. So first of all, let's get into what I think is really cool about the new Modern Warfare game. I got a list here, and we'll kind of just go through it. Shouldn't be too long of a video. So first of all, it's in a modern setting. Of course, a lot of guys they sit there and they're like, well, you guys have been asking for a different setting other than modern for years, and then you finally get one and you complain about it. I wasn't one of those people. I always wanted a modern setting. I actually wanted a near future setting. I didn't want like a Black Ops 3 future setting. I wanted like a near future, like a kind of like what we had in Battlefield 4 in one of their last DLCs, where you started to kind of see the hover tanks coming in, the railguns, that type of stuff. That's kind of what I wanted to see happen for Battlefield. In my opinion, modern setting allows for far more freedom for creativity for developers, and I think you see that in Modern Warfare. You see, of course, all of it is going to be grounded in reality to some extent, but you do see some really cool guns. You see some really cool use of attachments on those guns. They're not limited by, well, was this historical? Was this authentic? Is this accurate to what happened back in World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, World War I, whatever it may be? You're not limited. And so it gives you that freedom to be able to explore, to be able to tweak what attachments would do, to be able to tweak what guns could do, to be able to add in gadgets, to be able to have abilities, to be able to do different things that are going to make the game more fun. And that's really the thing that I'm excited about with Modern Warfare, is that the game looks fun. It looks really, really, really fun. The last thing on the modern setting part is that people don't have any preconceived notions about what it should be. So, you know, you say World War II game. People already have in their minds, okay, we're going to have a D-Day beach landing map. We're going to have a St. Lo map. We're going to have a Battle of Bastogne map. We're going to have a, you know, Battle of the Bulge map. We're going to have all of these maps because this is the battles that they've seen in their head, right? This is what they know of World War II to be. And World War II is just an example, but they have an idea of what it's supposed to be, what guns are supposed to be in it, how the guns are supposed to operate, what players are going to be able to do in terms of abilities, in terms of gadgets, because it's historical. It was there, right? The developers are supposed to follow what happened in history. They're limited, as I said before. They're limited in their creativity. Now, DICE has done a fairly decent job of what they had. I still think that they could do a lot better. But to be honest with you, the game is boring. There's not a whole lot to it. And Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, I thought it was extremely boring and very one-dimensional. So I'm really excited about Modern Warfare and to see where they're going to be able to push it. The second thing I want to talk about, guns have recoils and players have weight. So it looks, the game looks heavy in certain aspects. So when you have heavy guns, when you have certain perks on, players move with weight. Of course, they have the ability to take off certain attachments to make the guns ADS faster. You can run really fast with the triple sprint, so on and so forth. So there is a difference in the way that the player movement is going to be, and I like that. I also like the fact that the guns have some pretty decent recoil. Now, obviously, I haven't played it, so I don't know how it feels. Maybe when I play it during the beta, I'm going to be like, okay, this is utter shit. But just from looking at it, it looks very, very fun. Now, Battlefield does have recoil. It does have, you know, some decent gunplay in Battlefield 5. I do like it a hell of a lot more than I do in Battlefield 1. I think Battlefield 5 is in a pretty decent place for it. But there are times when Battlefield 5 just feels like enemies are bullet sponges. It just the time to kill is just off. It just doesn't feel right. And what I was seeing in this Call of Duty game is that it is going to be an extremely fast-paced game in terms of killing. When you put your sights on a guy, you're going to be able to knock him down pretty damn fast. Now, there are going to be instances where you're going to be able to get away, you know, certain distances, which is another thing, too, is that the further you were away, the different damage models were coming into play, and I like that. You know, you were seeing SMGs still being able to fight at long distances, but obviously they weren't killing as fast as they were up close. But it does feel like Modern Warfare has a more punch to the bullets, and I'm really interested to see how that's going to be feeling out. Of course, they may be changing that by the time the game does come out for beta, because I know a couple of the players, I was looking at Twitter, and I was watching some of their videos, were saying that some of the guns were just killing way too fast. So there's probably going to be some tweaking going on, but that's kind of what I noticed from the game. Also, Call of Duty is going back to a more realistic style. It's getting rid of like the slide hopping cancel off of ledges, and of course we don't have jetpacks in the game anymore, and no wall running, thank God. But I like that. I'm really happy to see that for Modern Warfare. Like I said, I've never been a real big fan of that type of movement. You know, when Advanced Warfare came out and everybody was oogling it, I was like, oh God, jetpacks. So stupid. But in any game that has jetpacks in it, I don't like. I don't like the jetpacks in PlanetSide 2, but there's enough of the game that I can kind of get around that kind of stuff. I didn't like them in Advanced Warfare. I did try that game out. Didn't like it in Black Ops 3. I did try that game out. So I mean, any kind of that there's jetpacks in a game, I'm not really too hyped up on it. I think that it's just more of an annoyance than it is, you know, a plus to the game. Because to me, I know a lot of people say, well, it's advanced movement, it's an extra skill set that you have to have, but I don't want to learn that skill. I don't want to learn movement. I want to be a shooter, right? I want my skill to be in my aim, and I want my skill to be in my timing, and I want my skill to be in my positioning. I don't want it to be, can I chain together these movements so I can hop around the wall and you know, be 20 feet up in the air where the guy thinks that I'm going to be, you know, on the ground. So I like the fact that it's going back to the realistic movement style. Now, there's still sliding in it, but it doesn't look like it's going to be too abused. But we'll see when that happens. Team sizes. I spoke about this a little bit earlier. 10v10, 20 versus 20. Exciting stuff. And this is where I'm really going to get into the where Battlefield might be feeling a little bit of a hurt, and where Battlefield players like myself might be getting pretty excited. So 10v10, 20 versus 20 is a pretty decent size for infantry plays. The maps look like that they're bigger than your typical Call of Duty maps, so you're not going to be smushed in just a big old cluster like Ground War used to be when it was 18 players on the same maps that a 6v6 were being played on. And I think there's a percentage of BF players right now, about 25 to 30%, who like that style of gameplay but don't want it to be necessarily a cluster. You know, Battlefield has given us meat grinders like Grind and Fortress, and even to an extent on Rush, and some of the maps that they've come out with as well have been really focused around this meat grindy type of play. But I think that DICE has really gotten it wrong. A lot of those players, or a lot of players at least that came up with me, were really excited about Battlefield 3, and they moved from Call of Duty to Battlefield 3 because it had a really good infantry play. Battlefield 3 did not focus on vehicles, and the maps were big enough that it could hold comfortably 32 players. At the time it was 32 for console until the next generation. And of course PC did have 64, but it did feel very good. The maps were big enough to support those player counts, and it was a very good feeling style of gameplay. You didn't have to worry about tanks spamming you all the time. You didn't have to worry about maps being too small. Of course, you did have stuff like Metro, which was a bit on the ridiculous side, I will admit. But for the most part, I think that infantry players found a really good home with Battlefield 3. And what we're seeing is Battlefield 1 kind of neglecting those players, that style. They're not wanting to go back to that Battlefield 3, to an extent Battlefield 4 style of map design, of play. Instead, they're pushing these really big maps, or they're pushing these maps that have these ridiculous choke points, and it just comes down to spam and just a big old cluster. The modes don't really feel good on Battlefield 5 either. And I think that you're going to be seeing teams or players moving to Modern Warfare for that very reason, because you does have a little bit of a better feeling to it. I was watching some of the 20 versus 20 gameplay from players who had recorded their gameplay instead of streaming, and the maps are pretty big. You know, considering Call of Duty, it's not like massive Battlefield size, but I mean, it looked like maybe. Like a Tehran highway back in Battlefield 3 for the 4 flag map. It looked like maybe a Zavod in a way, the small conquest version. You know, that kind of that kind of size, that kind of style of map, which is great because I love those maps. Those maps were very fun for me, and I think that's probably what we're going to be running into with Call of Duty. Of course, their 100-player mode might just blow that away. I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. The inclusion of vehicles, tanks, and quads. So we saw tanks being called in, and we saw quad bikes being used. So right now, from what I understand and from what I saw from the video, the tanks are on a timer. I think that they have like a fuel gauge on them. Once that fuel gauge is empty, I think the tank is, you can't use it anymore. You're either popped out of it or something. But and it doesn't really take that much to kill a tank. From what I could see, I think it was like 3 rockets or 4 rockets to end up killing a tank. But they didn't seem overpowered. They did seem powerful when the teams were caught off guard, but once the teams respawned back in with the right modes, it seemed like the tanks were getting taken care of fairly quickly. Didn't see any air vehicles except for the kill streaks. There was a chopper gunner, AC-130, and then of course you had like call-in airstrikes that were available, but we didn't see any flyable helicopters like Little Birds or like the Battlefield chopper gunner. Or jets or anything like that. But again, 100-player mode could actually bring that into the game, which is pretty exciting. And who knows? I mean, this could be, Battlefield's loss in a way. I mean, if Call of Duty is able to replicate the combined arms feeling and be able to have 100 players on the map at the same time, that's impressive as hell. Like that's pretty cool. Next one is, and this is where I really start getting excited, guys. This is where, for me, this is the game changer. This is what's going to cause me to put down Battlefield 5 and pick up Modern Warfare. So Modern Warfare right now does have a proven track record of having private lobbies for players to start up their own games and to be able to play. Now, what's really going to be interesting is to see if the 20 versus 20, 10v10, and the potential 100 versus 100 is going to have any kind of dedicated servers or the ability to start up with lobbies. I would imagine that the 100-player servers or 100-player mode is not going to have the ability to start your own private server or lobbies, but if they do make the 20 versus 20 and the 10 versus 10 where you can start lobbies of your own or you can have dedicated servers, that is massive for the community and competitive play for Battlefield. Like, BF communities want something like this, and if Battlefield doesn't deliver on their server promise this fall, I could definitely see a lot of communities shifting over to Modern Warfare. Not just because the game is better, but because you can actually have community events now. You can have your very own community events, and that's what we've been waiting for a very long time in Battlefield. I'm extremely excited for this. We can have the level BF style 32 versus 32 that we have at Battlefield with 20 versus 20. We can have the inclusion of some vehicles in there. We can have, we can make our own rule sets. We can sit there and say, okay, we don't want kill streaks, or we can ban certain kill streaks. You know, we can develop our own style of play. And the cool stuff about this is that we can actually have a caster mode. So they already have a proven caster mode that is very, very good. I have seen it from the viewer's perspective for many years now because I do watch the Call of Duty esports leagues. But it is a proven, it is a proven spectator mode. Has some pretty cool features into it. I would be curious to see how or if it is going to be applied to the 20 versus 20 mode. But this would be a game changer. We would be able to stream matches now from communities. Esports will happen, and I think, you know, a lot of people are sitting there like, well, you know, CWL, they're already going to have esports, so there's no point in us trying to do anything. CWL is going to focus more than likely on a 4v4 or a 5v5 format. You know, if that's the case, then that does leave it open for, you know, the 10v10 teams, the larger battles like I talked about before that we used to have, and Battlefield to transition over into Modern Warfare. And to be completely honest with you, I think that a lot of leagues that we see that exist now could pick this up and use it very, very easily. They don't have to pay for servers. Caster mode is already into it. And it's going to be a fairly new game. It's going to be, you know, a lot of hype is going to be back behind it. It's going to be very interesting. And the esports mode will be able to, like, you're going to be able to have players be good in the esports mode and also be really good in the main game because they're going to be virtually identical in a way. A lot of the same modes are going to be transitioning over, just going to have more players in it, bigger maps. So really, really cool there. And then last but not least, and this is the main point, and I swear, guys, this is going to be it. We're going to cut this video off after this point. Crossplay. Crossplay is happening. Crossplay is there. Why we haven't seen this happening before, I don't know, but it is now going to happen for Modern Warfare. This changes everything. This changes my community, us. It changes the way we can play this game. It changes the way we can hold events. Think about this, okay? Think about this. We have an Xbox One tournament. We have a PlayStation 4 tournament. And we have a PC tournament. And we have a month-and-a-half long season, right? At the end of this league, we decide we want to figure out who is the best team, not just in PC, not just on Xbox, not just on PlayStation, but who is the best team overall in a 10v10 match? Who has it? Who has the best 10 guys? Well, now we can finally play against each other. We can see what an Xbox team versus a PlayStation 4 team, who is going to be the best. I see it all the time in Discord. Don't lie, guys, especially you console players who watch this video. I see it all the time in Discord. You're always talking trash about PlayStation 4. You're always talking trash about Xbox One. Well, now we get an opportunity to finally figure out who is the best. That is so exciting. That is so cool. We're going to be able to have even potentially mixed teams with console and PC players on the same team competing. Think about this. We could have a mixed platform league to where a 10v10 team, even a 5v5 team, whatever it may be, could be mixed up with PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC players all together. Now, what does this do? Not only for the people able to play against each other, but this bolsters tournaments. All of a sudden, when we could barely get 10 teams for each platform, if we could combine that, well, all of a sudden we have 30 teams in a 30-team bracket. That's huge. This is huge. This could really, really bolster competitive esports for Modern Warfare, but it could also help us out in maybe a larger formats if we decide to have competitions there as well. And I know a lot of players are going to be looking at game battles, they're going to be looking at CWL, they're going to be looking at UMG, that type of stuff, to have esports. But I think there is going to be a niche there for teams who are they just want to have fun. They don't want to be super serious, and these leagues are going to be able to fill that niche. And then the last one on this point right here is the fact that community events are going to be forever changed because of crossplay. No longer will creators, no longer will communities have only PC events, only Xbox events, only PlayStation events. They can now just have an event. And anybody and everybody, as long as you have the Modern Warfare game, can join in and play. That is massive. That is huge. Streamers will be able to say, all right, guys, I'm going to open up my lobby. Everybody come in. Doesn't matter what platform you're on. Community events. Let's just say we wanted to hold a Christmas event. We can open up the lobby. Anybody can come in and play. We could have a red versus blue. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on. There no longer do we have to say, oh, man, I'm on Xbox. I can't participate in this. Or, oh, man, are you guys going to have a PlayStation event later on? Like, are you thinking about it? And then we have to answer back, well, it depends on the teams, or it depends on the amount of people we have for sign-ups. You know, we only got 24 people sign up for this time. Next time, you know, maybe if we can get 32, we could actually hold the event. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Community events can now encompass everyone. This is massive. So I just been thinking of things in my head, the possibilities that we can have, thinking of it from a caster's perspective, thinking of it as an event coordinator's perspective. This is exciting. This is completely, you know, changed everything, and there's so much potential that we can have. Of course, this is all predicated on the belief that the game is good, and we don't know that yet. The game could be utter trash, and everything that I say here just doesn't matter. But we don't know that yet. So beta is going to be coming out in September. There are details in the VOD that I'll link below. Of course, you can watch it, and they'll tell you all the details of when the beta is going to be coming out for what platforms. But this is cool, guys. This is exciting. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know this was long, but we're going to be cutting it off now. And I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.